Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Ashto Tarasati Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamana Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam 5:14-28. Kvapi deva mayaya striya bhujalato pagurdhaha praskanna viveka vigyano yadvihara griharambhakula hridayas tad ashraya vasakta sutta duhitra kalatra bhashita valoka vicheshtita parita hridaya atmanam ajitatma pare ante tamasi prahinoti. Translation. Sometimes the conditioned soul is attracted by illusion personified, his wife or girlfriend, and becomes eager to be embraced by a woman. Thus he loses his intelligence as well as knowledge of life's goal. At that time, no longer attempting spiritual cultivation, he becomes overly attached to his wife or girlfriend and tries to provide her with a suitable apartment. Again, he becomes very busy under the shelter of that home and is captivated by the talks, glances, and activities of his wife and children. In this way, he loses his Krishna consciousness and throws himself in the dense darkness of material existence. Purport. When the conditioned soul, well, do it or don't do it, but thank you, Hare Krishna. When the conditioned soul is embraced by his beloved wife, he forgets everything about Krishna consciousness. The more he becomes attached to his wife, the more he becomes implicated in family life. One Bengali poet, Bankim Chandra, says that to the eyes of the lover, the beloved is always very beautiful, even though ugly. This attraction is called Deva Maya. The attraction between man and woman is the cause of bondage for both. Actually, both belong to the Para Prakriti, the superior energy of the Lord, but both are actually Prakriti, female. However, because both want to enjoy one another, they are sometimes described as Purusha, male. Actually, neither is Purusha, but both can be superficially described as Purusha. As soon as man and woman are united, they become attached to home, hearth, land, friendship, and money. In this way, they are both entrapped in material existence. The word bhujalata upagurtha, meaning being embraced by beautiful arms which are compared to creepers, describes the way the conditioned soul is bound within this material world. The products of sex life, sons and daughters, certainly follow. This is the way of material existence. Om Ajnana Timidandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Vacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kwapi Deva Mayaya Striya Bhujalato Pagudha Praskana Viveka Vigyano Yad Vihara Griharam Bhakula Hridayas Tadashraya Vasakta Sutta Duhitra Kalatra Bhashita Baloka Vicheshtita Parhita Hridaya Atmanam Ajitatma Pade Andhe Tamasi Prahinoti. So here we're hearing about the condition of the heart. Akula Hridaya, Aparita Hridaya. His heart becomes absorbed, his heart is carried away. There's one author who said that love is like an hourglass with the head emptying in proportion as the heart fills. So that's correct. This verse is commenting on or explaining a verse from the previous chapter. Let's see. Text 16. Sometimes the living entity in the forest of material existence takes shelter of creepers and desires to hear the chirping of the birds in those creepers. So you can imagine, it's not just, well, you think of, a creeper means a vine. So you can imagine a person being wrapped up in vines. It's not just, you know, a little creeping plant, but he becomes wrapped up in these vines. This is the forest, after all, and the forest has all sorts of strange things in it, especially the forest described in the previous chapter. It's full of all sorts of what is this and what is that. So, Deva Mayaya Striya Bhuja Bhujalato Pagudha. Bhujalata means, yes, the lata means creepers, vines, and bhuja means arms. So what are these vines by which the person is bound? They're the bhuja, striya, the arms of the woman. Deva Maya, who's empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the potency for illusion. When someone becomes, in the third canto, Lord Kapildev says that there's nothing in the world more bewildering than the form of a woman, the mere movement of whose eyebrows brings under control the greatest generals of the world, the Julius Caesar, the Mark Antony, the powerful men who control armies and vast empires, are controlled by a little movement of the eyebrow of a woman. And certainly by when he's embraced by her arms, then he becomes thoroughly enchanted. He becomes enchanted. Enchanted, another way of expressing enchanted, you know, words have different tones. So another word that means the same thing as enchanted is bewitched. Just has a different spin to it. He becomes enchanted, bewitched. You know, who dispenses these enchantments? The witches. So he becomes bewitched. The beautiful woman that's described here, Kalatra, well, but later it will come, but Bhashita Abaloka, the birds mentioned in the previous verse are like, are compared to the voice of the woman. So the woman speaks, and just her voice does something to him. Her avaloka, her eyes, her glance at him, does something to him. And then to be embraced by her arms, and so on, carries away the intelligence. So that a person becomes, in the words of Lord Kapiladev, a Krita Mriga, a dancing dog in the hands of the woman. The woman says, wouldn't it be nice if, and he thinks, oh yes. And he wants to say funny things that'll make her smile, and flattering things that it will make her, that will fill her heart with affection. And he wants to spend money to make the woman happy. He wants to impress the woman with his intelligence, with his strength, with his smile, with his so many things. And for the woman, he'll do so many things that no one but a fool would do. He'll risk his life. People risk their lives to get some woman, particularly if she's married, and he has to risk the sometimes, armed husband, family members who ready to kill him. But he'll do it for you. I wouldn't do this for anyone else, but for you. What is that? There's an old Scottish ballad for Bonnie Annie Laurie, I'd lay me down in D. Translated into English for this beautiful Annie Laurie, or yes, Sally or Susie, or whichever one you choose. I'd lay down my life. I'd lay down and die for her. What? There's thousands of women in the world, but for this woman I would lay down my life. It makes no sense. But Deva Maya, empowered, in Shakespeare, it's Macbeth's wife who persuades him to kill the king and sets his course on a downward spiral. Oh, Deva Maya, I was with one of my godbrothers. We were in Alachua for their Sunday program. They have a big lawn, and on the lawn some devotee merchants set up their little booths. So I was talking with him, and as we were talking, he saw his wife in the distance purchasing something, and he said, not in such a way that she'd hear because we were far away, but he said, "Don't. We have no money." But there she is, armed with her credit card. Deva Maya Striya, the woman empowered by the illusory energy so that if he forgets. Upagudha, embraced by her arms. Praskanda viveka vijnana yad vihara griha rambha kula hridayas. The yad vihara, for the enjoyment of that wife, griha rambha, he undertakes the trouble of getting an apartment or a house and paying for it, working hard. Griha rambha. And praskanda viveka vijnana, because he's busy with the wife and with working hard to please the wife and thinking about the wife and engaging with the wife. Praskanda viveka vijnana. He's bereft, lost, Prabhupada says, bereft of viveka and vijnana. Viveka means discrimination. We discriminate between good and bad, between necessary and unnecessary, beneficial and unbeneficial, this and that, with viveka, discrimination. And praskanda viveka, he loses his ability to discriminate. He does things that make no sense. Why? For a woman. What happened to his intelligence? Well, it went out the window. No intelligent person would act that way. But even though he's intelligent, he acts that way. Because praskanna viveka, he's lost his discrimination. And so many examples can be given from history, from our personal experience, from current events, how people become praskanna viveka, bereft of discrimination. Praskanna viveka vijnana, and bereft of vijnana. Prabhupada expresses this in the translation in different ways. Krishna consciousness, or spiritual realization. How else does he say it? Vijnana in the he no longer attempts spiritual cultivation. Vijnana. He doesn't think that this is the most important thing in my life. After millions and millions of lifetimes, I've gotten this human form of life. This is my window. This is my chance to get free from material existence. All that goes out the window because there's a woman smiling at him and saying, ooh, 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 ooh. Because there's a woman smiling at him or joking with him or cooing at him or being angry with him. Aren't you going to do this? What's wrong with you? Don't you love me? I thought you told me. I'm sorry. He becomes, he loses it, as we say. He loses the impetus for spiritual realization. It's no longer the most important thing in his life. The most important thing is his wife. He's working and working for his wife. He's always thinking, what about my wife? What about my wife? What about my wife? He's looking forward to, I'll come home and my wife, my wife, my wife. And she does this for me, and she does that for me, and she'll do this for me, and she'll do that for me. She'll cook this for me. She'll embrace me. She'll smile at me. She'll be happy. And for that, he forgets who he is. He's Prakriti, the Paraprakriti, spiritual energy, but he thinks that he's a Purusha, that he's an enjoyer. Prakriti means that which is meant to give enjoyment. So, in relation to Krishna, all of us are Prakriti. He's the Purush. But we think that we're the Purush. Prakriti, Purusha Prakriti sto hi, punkte Prakriti jan gunan, karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmashu. When the living entity, who is Prakriti, tries to enjoy this material energy, the inferior Prakriti, he takes the position of falsely takes the position of Purush, enjoyer. And the result is, he becomes entangled. Bhunkte Prakriti jan gunan. He tries to enjoy the products of the material energy, and karanam guna sangasya. The result is that he becomes associated with the three modes of nature, and sadasad yoni janmashu, takes birth in different species of life again and again, higher and lower. And what is the engine that makes this go? Pumsastriya maitani bhavameta. Yadindriya priti or aprinoti. It's the combination of man and woman. It's sex. By the enchantment of sex attraction, illusory attraction, he's attracted to something which is asat. Sada sumudvigna dhyam asatgrahat. He's grasping at the air. He's grasping at something that he can't hold on to. But for that, he becomes foolish. Praskanna, viveka vijnana. Right? Praskanna viveka vijnana. Yad vihara, for that enjoyment, griha rambha kula hridayas, tad ashraya vasakta sutta duhitra kalatra, bhashita valoka, vicheshtita parhita hridaya. Again, the heart, this time the heart is engrossed. No, aparita hridaya. Previously his heart was engrossed. Now it's carried off, carried away. Aparita hridaya. His heart or his consciousness, the heart is taken as the seat of consciousness. Aparita. Maya pritagana. So what is his heart carried off by? Vicheshtita, bhashita avaloka, by the activities and glances and speech of kalatra, duhitra, sutta, ashraya vasakta. Kalatra, by his wife. The activities and words of his wife. Kalatradi. The wife and the expansions of the wife. Stri means who expands. So when there's a wife, or sometimes when there's a girlfriend even, then there are children. Duhitra, daughters, and sutta, sons. And the father becomes fascinated. Oh, the little feet of the child, the little mouth, the little this, and he's standing, ooh, and just becomes fascinated by the activities of the son, the daughter. Then they grow up a little bit, and ooh. And he's thinking about the sons, thinking about the daughter, their activities, and the little child, Dabby, and it's just father. Ooh. So, aparita hridaya, his heart becomes carried away by all of this, and he forgets Krishna. His real relationship is with Krishna, but he's turning away to the material energy. Why is he turning away to the material energy? We know the difference between matter and spirit. We know that we're these things, but for a smile, for some sweet words, for the what's the word? Jingly sound of the wife's voice and the voice of the children, voices of the children. It's described earlier like the call of the birds. You know, the birds are chirping. Creates a very nice atmosphere, doesn't it? In the city, when there are no birds, just fire trucks and so on. It's not very pleasing. But when you're in a nice countryside and the birds are going, poo, 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 zh, 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 poo, 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 zh, zh, poo, poo, zh, zh, poo, poo, zh, zh, poo, poo, zh, zh. just creates such a nice atmosphere. So speaking of the wife and children are compared to the sounds of the birds. He has this opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead, to get free from the pains of material existence. But he forgets about all that because he forgets. Another ISKCON descending mic. All the microphones in ISKCON follow the descending process because people grab them and move them without first unscrewing the little thing. So they lose all stability. So, and Ajitatma, his mind and senses are uncontrolled. He loses control. Now he becomes controlled. He becomes the dancing dog in the hands of the woman. And apare ante tamasi prahinoti. He throws himself into darkness. It's not that the darkness, yes, he willingly throws himself into the darkness. Here I come, all right, I'm following you. This is the Maya described here. All right, since I see we're out of time, so let's see if there's some questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. We have one question pending in the Zoom.
Yes.
May I, Maharaj?
Vijay Krishna, of course you may.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. You're very kind. My humble obeisances. My question is, if a woman can make me lose my intelligence, in what measure attachment to Krishna is capable of making me smart?
Completely. Son Mohito is described about the Goswamis. Hey Radhe Brajadevi Ke Chalalite Hey Nanda Shunakuta. What is that? Sri Govardhana Kolpapada Patale Kalindi Bane Kuta Goshanta Viti Sarvato Brajapure Kedar Mahabhuvalo. The Goswamis were like madmen, running around Vrindavan. Where's Krishna? Where's Radharani? Huh? Like madmen. And from another materialistic point of view, Mandalapati Shrinim, they had power. They're big government men, Everyone wants their favor. They have power. They had wealth. They had standing in society. They had everything. And they gave it up to become beggars. Isn't that mad? Here's your choice. On the one hand, $10 million, a great, a fancy apartment on the ocean side, connections and power, pick up the phone and do whatever you want. And on this side, the life of a beggar. Yes, we'll become beggars. So on the one side, so they're both doing the same thing, the person described in today's verse and the Goswamis. They're both giving up what seems to be sensible for something that's mad. But the materialist, he's mad after a woman. And the Goswamis are mad after Krishna. The woman will get old. The woman, before she gets old, will get crabby. And all the things that were hidden from you at the time when you got started will become vividly visible. Her ability to spend, her ability to disagree, her ability to be perpetually dissatisfied, her ability to look elsewhere. So all of these and more will become evident. Still, he's bewildered. Prabhupada said legitimate burglars. If a burglar breaks into your house and takes all your money, you call the police. But if your wife and children take all your money, you think, oh, they love me. Legitimate burglars. So the wife becomes a burden. She was so young, she was so pretty, she was so submissive, she was so many things. And later she becomes something else. Or she remains like that, but she dies. And then you have nothing. Nothing but pain. Oh, I've lost my wife. But, and the result is that, all right, you come back. And next lifetime you can have another wife. And another, and another, and another. Mrityu sangsara vartmani. You can stay on the path of birth and death forever. And we'll give you a wife every time. A bird wife, a pig wife, a fish wife, a human wife, a demigod wife. Or you can be the other kind of madman and take Krishna. Instead of the illusion, tamasi ma jyotirgama, instead of the darkness, he hurls himself into the light. He hurls himself to the personality of Godhead, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, the eternal transcendental personality of Godhead, who's the actual, with whom he has a natural and eternal relationship. The relationship with the wife, with the children, it's only on the basis of this body. And the body will be finished. Why do I say this is my wife, these are my children? I die for this family. Because they have some relationship with my body. Otherwise, there's so many wives and children, countries full of them. But my wife, my children, Janasyamohoya maham mamiti. One becomes bewildered. I'm this body, this is mine. So yes, the more one becomes mad after Krishna, the more one becomes mad after the absolute truth, the more one loses interest in the madness of this material enjoyment. Was that a question there? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful class. I was distributing books yesterday in La Jolla Cove, and I met some guy. He was with his family, 2 children and his wife. And he
Could you speak up a little bit?
Okay. Yeah. And he was telling me how he became very frustrated with life, and he doesn't know what he has to do, what he truly is. And yeah, he was very frustrated. And speaking about the soul and about, I'll show them our books, the Bhagavad Gita, he was like relieved. He was telling me, oh my God, finally somebody understands me. Because my wife always tells me, stop talking to people. You seem very crazy, when you start speaking about this subject matters. And, well, he gave a nice donation and took the books. And I was just thinking to ask, what do you think would be best for a person like that who has no understanding from his close family, and who wants to practice Krishna consciousness, but in a sense his family is not understanding him fully.
There's a person who's interested in spiritual realization, suffering like anything in material life, but his wife doesn't understand his suffering, doesn't understand the way out, so what to do for him. So the first thing you've already done, you've given him a book. So that gives him the opportunity for spiritual enlightenment. And maybe you gave him a card with the Hare Krishna mantra and asked him to chant. So already something's begun. The next thing is continued association. If he gets more books, if he gets the opportunity to associate with devotees, come for this program, come for that program, or we're coming to your house, it's one way or another. Association is the beginning. Sadhu Sangha. Then Bhajana Kriya. We want him to take up these activities of Krishna consciousness, Bhajan Kriya, to chant, to follow four regulative principles, to rise early in the morning, to do all these things that you're doing that invoke Krishna consciousness. But he's not going to do that. Why not? First, he needs association. He's associating, of course, with his wife and family and with so many other materialists. But the association of devotees is so strong that if he gets that association again and again, that can bring him to the right point. Of course, within the book, he'll get association, but then also come associate with the devotees. Lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Sadhu sangha sarva shastrik hoy. Is that okay?
And at some point, if he starts associating and coming to the temple more, his wife and children might also be influenced by this.
His wife and children may be influenced, or he may be influenced to ignore, if she's opposed, oh, this will be the end of our relationship, or this will be the end of, he'll become, so many fears. So she may be opposed, but he may ignore her. Raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva. He's seen something higher. Or as you say, she may be influenced. And hey, what about me? I'm suffering too. Why should you go alone? Let me come. That may also be there. Or any combination along those lines. So yes.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances to you, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Nice class. I joined a little later. I have one question. My question is, in material world, Krishna made this energy, and 99.9%, we are, at least I'm talking about me, materialistic and trying in Grihastha, trying our best and doing it. It's so hard, and sometimes I think that why Krishna made all this material energy so strong and hard, and now he's saying, okay, now you swim, it's hard, everything is hard, and you try your best. And also read that Grihastha is the best, one of the best ashram you can do bhakti. Somebody asked me a question last night that if everybody gets sadhu, then how this Prajapati will go on and sansar will go on. So
Okay.
in that, would you talk about it a little bit? Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions there. Your last question was, if everyone becomes a sadhu, how will samsara, how will the world go on? First of all, we don't have that problem because everyone becoming a sadhu is not in the picture. That's not going to happen. That's the first thing. But if it did, great. What if everyone left the prison? What would we do with what would become of the prison house? Are we really going to worry about that? If everyone became a sadhu, what if everyone went back to Godhead? Oh, shucks. That's not a problem. Your earlier question, that why is it all so complicated and strong if Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead? I think that's the question.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
It's because we want it. We want, why is illusion so strong? Srila Prabhupada said, because your purpose is not strong. We want illusion. You want it, we've got it. We can concoct all these, what is that? Kaman, Sarvan, Partha, Manogatan. We have all these desires which are products of the mind. And the mind really can cook up some wild things. I'll be happy by this. I'll be happy by this. I'll be happy by this. I'll just be happy by that. And because the mind is out of control, and because we've dedicated ourselves to the mind and the senses, we've surrendered. Prabhupada uses that word. He surrenders to takes shelter of these vines and creepers and so on. What is that? Prakritim mohinim shritaha in the Bhagavad Gita. One takes shelter, ashrita, of the bewildering illusory energy. So the bewildering illusory energy says, sure, we have something for you. In fact, we have everything for you. Whatever you want, it's here for you. And so we become, the more we get involved with this, the more strong it becomes. You become rich, you become famous, you become powerful, you become attached more and more. Why? You wanted it. This is what you wanted. You wanted Susie, you wanted kids, you wanted money, you wanted prestige, you've got it. And now it's got you.
Thank you, Maharaj, so much for your answer, wonderful answer. So you are saying, is it okay in like we do Yukta Vairagya, we live in this life with detachment and just move on without getting too much upset that this is hard and how will I do it? And so whatever energy, Krishna's energy he gave, we should just engage, right, in a balanced way and be in Gruhastha and try your best.
The audio quality is not top-notch here, but I think I got the gist of your question. Yes, there's some program, just like a person's sick, so there's a remedial program. You eat, but don't eat this, and you eat at this time and that time, and you take this and you do that. So it's not, yes, so there's a program. So we have a program for gradual elevation, for gradual freedom from material existence. You eat this, you chant that, you give up this, you regulate that. Just like sex, we don't say no sex, but regulate it. Association of man and woman, yes, you have it, but not in such a way that you'll be lost. In such a way that, as we say, you get it out of your system and then go on. There's brahmachari training, how to control the mind, how to control the senses, how to be focused on spiritual realization. Then for those who want, there's grahastha life, association of family. Then vanaprastha, how to loosen those attachments before we die. Then sannyas, how to give everything up for Krishna. So the thing is to become attached to Krishna more and more. And the prescription is given. Enechyo shodhi maya nashi baralagi. Harinam Maha Mantra lao tuni magi. Just take this Maha Mantra. That's the medicine.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
I think I've gone way over time, right? So we can stop here. Right? Yeah. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.